Well, the Art of Public Speaking, Chapter 7, and this chapter is on gathering materials. Fairly certain this will need to be done in two parts. The first part, gathering personal materials, the very first thing to do as you begin to prepare to give a speech is to use your own knowledge and experience. Your own knowledge and experience has something there. There are things there. And I have had students who told me they didn't have anything, and we had a few conversations. The next thing you know, they had a topic, and they were using their own knowledge and experience as their first source of material. The second thing you might do is do library research. Now, I know that a lot of people today hit Google, hit the internet, wherever that might be first, and that might be productive. However, I will tell you this: go to the library and do library research. It's one of the fastest ways to get it done. The first place to start is with a librarian. The librarians are there; they know where the material is. I had a young man a few years ago who he did a lot of research. He looked on Google, and I had told everyone go to the librarian first. And he came into class. He said, "I just want to tell you, I feel really stupid." I said, "Well, why do you feel stupid?" He said, "Well, you said go to the librarian first." He said, "I looked on Google, nothing." He said, "Next, I went to the library." He said, "I was there for an hour and a half, didn't have anything." He said, "Then I remember what you said about ask the librarian for help." He said, "After I asked the librarian for help, 30 minutes later, I walked out of the library with more material than I could use in a 5-hour speech, let alone a 5-minute speech." But you can do your own research if you're experienced with the library, the catalog. You can go to reference works, including encyclopedias, yearbooks, quotation books, biographical aids. You can look at newspaper and periodical databases, their academic databases. And of course, and I know that some of you will do this, and that's fine, you can also search the internet. You have to be aware that you have to have a search strategy. Sometimes when you do a search, you may want to include a thing that says the phrase in quotes to get an exact phrase searched for. That gives you the whole phrase as opposed to just parts that might pull up things that don't relate to what it is you want. In addition, when you do a topic, sometimes things may come up that you didn't really want to come up. After you've put in your topic, if you put in a minus and then a word, it will delete searches for that particular word that may be associated, but maybe that's not the direction you want to go. So specialized research resources, there are virtual libraries now, they're working. My understanding is people are out there somewhere working to get all of the books ever written online at some point in time in the future. There's government resources, and there is Wikipedia. And you can use Wikipedia for some research, but you have to be careful, because if it's a controversial topic, there may be things in there where opinions are put in that are not necessarily, shall we say, authoritarian. You have to understand that on Wikipedia, you can go in and you can change Wikipedia. You put all kinds of things in there. I've even challenged students to do it, and I've had some do it. But they put something in there, they just inserted their name into an article for whatever reason. And it tends to stay there a long time. You have to, though, if you go to the internet, you have to evaluate internet documents. Look at the authorship. Look at the sponsorship. Are these paid? Are they paid? So someone paying for these? I've actually seen articles that looked like it was an article on something, and I didn't look close enough, and I clicked into it and realized, oh, that was just a commercial. And I mean, here they're trying to sell me something. They're not trying to help me. They may be trying to help me through what it is they're selling. Also look at recency, because some documents will stay there for a long time and never get taken down, and maybe it's outdated, maybe outdated material. We're going to look at interviewing very quickly. I'm not asking my students to do interviewing, but if you are going to do interviewing, you need to do a good job. Before the interview, make sure you know why. Tell the person exactly why you're doing the interview. Decide who it is you're going to interview. You want to ask, if you're going to record the interview, ask, can I record the interview? Make sure you have clear questions, and typically the person you're interviewing will want a copy of your questions before you do it. During the interview, you want to dress appropriately, of course, and you have to be on time. You cannot give someone give you a time. Oh yes, you come and I'll do an interview at this particular point in time, and then you not show up at the time that's specified. That's not appropriate. Repeat the purpose of the interview. If you're going to record, set up the recorder. Stay on track. Listen carefully. Try not to go beyond whatever time they said they would give you. And is it the last point? Don't overstay your welcome. After the interview, one of the first things you want to do is review your notes as quickly as possible and transcribe as many things as you can down onto paper. Some general tips for doing research. One, start early. Start early. The earlier you start working on your speech, the better you're going to do on it, the more time you have to prepare. Create a preliminary bibliography. Preliminary bibliography may be just things about sources where you think you're going to get certain things. Then you go to those sources and create more after that. Take notes efficiently. Take plenty of notes. Make sure you record your notes in a consistent format. and make a separate entry for each note. You don't want to confuse where it is you got something. You have to distinguish between direct quotations, paraphrases, and your own ideas. As you do your research, above all, one of the things that's very important that you do is that you think about your material as you do your research. And that is the end